This conference will now be recorded.
Open our meeting at 9:30 with a moment of silence, thinking about all those that are still suffering, but all those that are moving forward, and then followed by our pledge. And now our pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item on the agenda, public comments, agenda items only. Seeing none, we will move forward. Corrections to the duplicates and total. Chief Assessor.
96,780 additions.
Wait.
We have 2,159,280 subtraction, for a negative 2,062,500. And most of them were veterans exempt.
Okay, well, thank you for that clarification and information.
I move we accept the corrections to the duplicate. A second.
First and second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Old business. Motion to approve the old business from March 3rd, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes,
Second,
March 3rd.
I will second.
we have a first and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We do not have any proclamations and certificates today. So moving on to new business. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 1, personnel, items A through C.
So moved.
Second.
The first and the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Moving on to number 2. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 2, items A through C.
So moved.
First
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 3. Motion to approve the actions list. No, there aren't any, sorry. Yeah, well, let's skip on to number 4. Number 4, Monroe County Children and Youth. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 4, items A, item A.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 5. Motion to approve the action listed in number 5, item A.
We'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a first, we have a second. Any discussion, any questions? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 6, Commissioner's Office. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 6, items A through G.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a first and we have a second. Do you have any questions? Comments?
Well, I'd like to point out that the $11,772,498 is for rental relief for members of the Monroe County that are eligible for this. We have a number of agencies taking care of it. We have the United Way, Coconut Families Services for Children,
Yeah, they promise.
Family Promise,
Children.
and Children and Youth.
Yep.
Are all taking the lead in this.
And information can be found on our website.
211.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
211, yeah,
211.
both locations. Any further comments or questions? More information to follow, right, Amy?
Yes, we expect to be putting something out to the public in about 2 weeks. We're just waiting for final information from the state because they're still finalizing the regulations. However, anyone renter who is in arrears for their rent or their utility payments can go onto the state's Compass system and register there. We're currently pulling clients off the Compass system.
Okay, and the delay is not us. I think I need to clarify that. We are still waiting for clear communication from the state. For us to put information out now, then have to change it again, then have to change it again, would not be good for the community. So we're waiting for that final information so we can get it out. But thank you, Amy, there is a way to register now and get moving on this. Okay. Okay, we have a first and we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Number 7. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 7, A.
Second.
The first and the second. Any comment, questions? No, hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Number 8. Motion to approve the action listed in number 8, A.
Make that motion.
Second.
We have a first, we have a second. Any good questions or discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 9, computer capital purchases. Motion to approve the action listed in number 9.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any questions or discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we have a miscellaneous time, and I think we have a distinguished guest with us, Suzanne. You'd like to?
Okay.
I think that's under public.
Miscellaneous public comment, okay.
The reason I got up early today, when you're retired, you don't have to, but I did for a reason.
Quit
because-
rubbing it in, Suzanne.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is Women's History Month. And the Women's Commission, we have not been as active during COVID as, other organizations have, had to slow down. But we have maintained the same agenda from the governor as the year before. But I guess we just didn't choose women this month to come in here until things settle down with COVID. But I felt that we should acknowledge the passing of Nancy Chakitis, who was a much loved citizen and a county commissioner, among many other things. So her passing was recent. But we should remember that in the 1960s, she started the Delaware Valley Conservation Association. And then we saved the Delaware Coalition. Otherwise, we would not have our wonderful free-flowing Delaware River. And it was a big fight, very hard-fought battle. But we have saved the Delaware because of her actions. So I just felt we should note that. And she already received awards from the commissioner several years ago when we did this in Women's History Month. I also wanted to mention that it's Developmental Disabilities Month, and being on the Mental Health Board, I'm glad to see Amy was reappointed. I just thought we should mention that. And I didn't get here last month for Black History Month, but I know that that should always be noted, and that we can't go back now. And I'm very concerned about voting rights in the country in various states. During COVID, I voted by mail, and it was a very good way to vote. Because anybody that is immune impaired or has trouble walking to the polls and things like that, it was a really great alternative. So we don't want to lose our rights that we gained. And I wanted to note that I'm so happy that we did pass years ago the Violence Against Women Act, but we can't let down our guard. So I did want to mention that. Since I'm retired, I have a lot of time to read. And I just read a book in the library, Hughes Library has 3 copies of it. And I would encourage everyone, not just government officials, to read it. It's called Caste, C-A-S-T-E, The Origins of Our Discontent. And the writer, Isabel Wilkerson, has won a Pulitzer Prize for it, and perhaps one of her other books. So it's a really important read. And I guess I learned things I never knew. I never knew Hitler studied how Americans treated Blacks in our society when he was forming his ideas to take over Germany and, become the leader he did. He studied how Americans were treating American Negroes and the Jim Crow laws and the terrible violence. So there's a lot of other things in that book. And she compares the caste system in India with what happened in this country to minorities. The untouchables in India, the equivalent would be the Blacks in our country. So it's a real important read, and I just thought I'd mention it today. And the other thing is, I fought for the Equal Rights Amendments in the 70s. Now I'm looking back, and it's 50 years, and the thing was never ever ratified. So we are still fighting, and the violence that's showing up now in our country is very disturbing. The attack on the Capitol, it wasn't a demonstration. It was like real warfare. So we can't let this stuff happen. We've got to speak up. And I guess that's why I'm here today. Okay. So thank you for listening, and thank you for the job you're doing in the county. I really appreciate all you do for us.
Thank you, Suzanne. Okay, we have another miscellaneous item that of great importance to us and to Monroe County. And Christy Meinhardt-Fritz, you're here to talk about that, or those. How's that? Those things.
So I guess you received an email. We received an email in December 2020. There is a proposal to change the definition of the metropolitan and micropolitan statistical areas. And we received an email January or February concerning this change. And essentially what that means is that in 2010, Monroe County became a metropolitan statistical area. And what that did is it provided different formulas for funding through the federal government for transit, transportation, health, HUD. And this proposal, while it would change the definition of the statistical area, it does not impact the funding, but the federal agencies that use that definition, it could impact the funding. So John and I were in a meeting yesterday. John, you know,
Yeah, when we have a regional organization that is called our MPO, and that consists of Carbon, Monroe, Pike, and Schuylkill counties. And what that does is provide funding for infrastructure through PennDOT. And by becoming a metropolitan area, we became an MPO as opposed to an RPO, which is a rural organization. When you're an MPO, you have a larger seat at the table. You have more emphasis brought to you by PennDOT. Not to say that PennDOT would not listen to us, because I have to say that the communications that we have with District 5 is phenomenal. But it gives us, makes Monroe County the elephant in the room. And by changing that, we would lose that status, and it would affect all the other counties, because now your funding wouldn't be as prominent, okay? So with this letter, there are 8 organizations or areas in the state of Pennsylvania that would be affected by this. And so what we're doing is putting letters in where we have a comment period, and we're putting that letter in. We also received a letter from Congresswoman Wild and Matt Cartwright, and they had 54 other members of the House sign that letter in support of not making this change. What the change was is that arbitrarily they said that the population of the United States has doubled since 1960 when this designation was put in. So they feel that if it's doubled, therefore they should go from 50,000 to 100,000. Kind of just an arbitrary number, but it doesn't meet the facts of the definitions. And so we find fault in their assumptions, is what it is. There's no empirical data to back it up. So
So this would impact 140 communities within the country.
right.
8 of them are from Pennsylvania.
That's being one of them.
That's being one of them. And so our NPO has contacted the other NPOs in the state of Pennsylvania, and they are also replying under the comment period concerning this. Again, this is a definition. So we don't know what the changes will be from this definition, but it could be extremely hard on Monroe County because we do a lot of funding, but we just don't know. And as Mr. Christy stated, because the assumption of why they are changing this definition is flawed. So that's our concern. So,
Thank you.
I think it needs to be said also that the established metropolitan areas, especially the cities, have nothing to lose from this. I mean, we had to come together a very gerrymandered outline to get 50,000 people to qualify us as an MPO. When we signed it back when, I think, Suzanne, you were a commissioner at the time that we signed it. And at that point, we were sort of come see, come saw. We didn't know what the effects were, but it's proven to be a very good thing for Monroe County. And maybe I'm just a paranoid do-gooder or no-gooder or whatever you want to say, but it seems to me that it's one more attempt to vest some of the funding in the cities rather than worrying about the already established metropolitan planning areas throughout the country. So I'm certainly on board with signing that letter, sending that letter, even though the exact impact of what it would mean to us is unknown at this point. I think history would prove that every time there's a change like this to something that's working reasonably well, pretty soon it's not working reasonably well, and the citizens of Monroe County suffer. So we're unanimous in our opposition to the change.
and one more thing, we had discussed that it could be a domino effect, that just because this definition has changed, what will happen after that. We received an email the end of last week regarding the census, and the census designations of organized areas as well. So what we feared would be the domino effect. It does appear that that's exactly.
This just doesn't affect transportation. This affects Medicare. It affects a myriad of other programs. Its tentacles reach far.
I think Monroe County is a very unique county. And because of our special, our location to the cities and our location and where we sit in the state, I think to have a broad stroke with a brush and just say, oh, you're one of nine counties, 8, 9, that are going to change. It's gotta be looked at differently.
I thank you all for supporting this. Moving forward with that letter.
Okay. You had something else you wanted to talk about?
I do. So approximately 4 years ago, we started a project where all the open space properties that were purchased with the open space bond fund, we made sure that they all had beautiful signs. And we did a preserve farmland signs that included the insignia for open space. Well, this has worked so well that farmers have found people picnicking in the middle of their fields or riding their bikes through their orchard. And so we heard from the farmers, we love the program, but can you help us keep people off of our farm? So we created a new sign. As many of you know, our vector control staff person is also an artist. So the Agricultural Preservation Board has approved this as the new sign.
Gorgeous.
This is actually the first farm that was preserved within Monroe County with the Agricultural Preservation Program. So this is the new sign. Be careful what you wish for. We have so many people out on our open space property. We've had to change the sign.
Christine, it was 7 or 8 years ago that I attended several of us attended I think it was 100th preserved farm in Monroe County. What number have we achieved up to this point?
We are at 112, one of which is almost 400 acres, and we purchased it in pieces because we did not have enough funding for that. Currently, we are accepting applications that goes through April 5th, and we have approximately 12 farms this year that have already applied. Of course, we never have enough money for the program. We have roughly $643,000.
And these farms, as you might guess, are primarily in the West End, but it's so important for us to, Suzanne was a child when farmland existed throughout the county more broadly. Horses cropping up and then, no, that's not true, but we've lost an awful lot of farmland in Monroe County because of the development of homes, businesses, et cetera, and it's so critical that we try to protect those that remain and give them a leg up on trying to make it into the next century.
And this program helps us with our density in our urbanized area because it preserves the farmland. And as Sharon has said, we are a rural county with an urban flair. This program helps that.
I say we're.
Can I just say something, John, after that comment? 100 years ago, when I was in school, when there was a Barrett High School, our history teacher, Mr. Slemmer, told us that the soils in the West End equate to those in Lancaster County. And we know how good, Lancaster County is in the produce they grow. So yeah, it is important to try to preserve that wonderful.
Lancaster County now is second to Monroe County's vegetables and fruits. I just have to let you know that. So.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm glad to do that.
At least when I worked at the farmer's market that I worked at. Okay. All right. So we're done with the miscellaneous at this time. Any public comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just forgot one thing. I do want to encourage people to get their COVID shots. I wore my sticker today. And I'm very upset that some news stations are politicizing it. So there are certain sections of the population that absolutely refuse to do it. And whatever is happening with AstraZeneca, there are 3 other vaccines to choose from. And I think people should not hesitate. We have got to get to herd immunity if people do want to get back to any kind of normal functioning society.
We have found that peer pressure works quite well.
You got it. Thank you. That in 2 weeks, we will be having a special, today I wanted Christine to help us with the planning to talk about what's happening in 2 weeks, or I guess it's 3, our next commissioners meeting. Mary Ellen Keegan will be here to talk with us about where the county is with regards to their work with FEMA and OEM and how we're working to get this all together. There's a lot of information on our website with regards to, for those in the public that are looking for sites for vaccinations. There are some things opening up even quicker than we are aware of, things opening up. Every time we hear something, we're posting it. So please, community, go on our web to check that out as well.
Just in case anybody's missed it, there's a mass vaccination at Pocono Raceway this Saturday.
That's what I was alluding to.
They anticipate vaccinating up to 3,000 people. I don't know, I didn't check the
You had to go to my
LVHN.
LVHN.
Yeah.
If the banner apparently is still green, there's room available. If it's red, you'll have to wait for the next time.
And that is for the 1A group, over 65 and essential workers.
It includes county employees.
Does it?
CVS in East Stroudsburg just opened up their clinic yesterday. It's another location that you can sign up through the website or walk in. You can't get a shot when you walk in, but they will assist you with the sign-up procedures. There's a front desk where you can talk with the gal that's there in the fort during the regular hours. They said they'll be working 7 days a week when they're open, so see how that goes too. Any other questions or discussion? Comments? Nothing on the.
No, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Second. Thank you.